Right, okay, my number 2 is Ghost Recon Future Soldier.
Right, so I'm very interested.
It's great. It's really, really terrific. It's not a sequel to the Graw games. And if you're looking for that, it's not going to be that. And as with all these franchises that have rebooted and tried to be a bit more like COD, and it's unashamedly trying to be a bit more like COD, it does its own thing still. Tactics. Although tactics are minimal, basically, you can't control your guys on the field. All you do is focus their gunfire, but they get so much mileage out of that as a strategy that it's just pretty much. I'm so surprised by how good it is. The enemies are really tough, so I mean, literally, they're really aggressive as well. The amount of time you see things that you'd normally see in against real players in Battlefield. Like I was doing this fight yesterday, where we were in the middle of the desert and. All of the enemies, and in one instance they drove round, they hammered it round in these jeeps and then parked up at the most irritating places for us to be able to fight against it because we were already backed up. Just really aggressive AI. And if you don't, I mean, your AI teammates are really effective, but there's so much going on that if you don't direct fire in the right place, you're all going to die. So doing that is.
You can't direct them around to different parts of cover or to a different part of the map.
No, it's the entire strategy comes down to focusing their fire. I mean, there's bits where you can you synchronise sniper fire, so you take out guys in one hit, which is really neat. And for them, although there are a couple of probably 3, I think, bits where if you get spotted and you don't stealth it up, you fail the mission and have to go back. Most of the time, you can, if you want to, just treat it like an action game, but it's more fun to do the stealth thing. It's just, I'm so surprised. There's no radar either, which I think is really, really good because there's so many bits where you just have to be aware completely of what's going on. There's this great bit when you're stuck in the middle of a sandstorm and you're making your way through this camp. And you've got this metallic, they call it metal vision or metallic vision or something, which is basically night vision, but you can see through almost everything aside from metal. And just you never know what's around the corner, and you have to be really, really careful. It feels like a strategy game, although it's unashamedly an action game. It's hard to describe, but I mean, if you're a fan of Advanced Warfighter 1 and 2, it may be sort of too much that they've made it this action orientated. But
I mean, those games weren't deeply tactical. There was just a bit more than your standard third-person shooter.
Yeah, well, you could say the same about this, although it's purely weapons-based. It's purely based on sort of, the amount of times you have to redirect fire is amazing, and just all the action scenes. There's always something else going on. There's this great bit. I think you've probably seen it where you're making your way down this road, and I can't remember which country you're in, but it's absolute havoc. You've got to periodically throw an AR drone up to spot people, otherwise your guys will get flanked, and then you have to redirect their fire, and then you have to make sure you stay away from all the cars, because the second you take cover on a cars, they'll fucking shoot the shit out of it and kill you. And then there's one of those great turkey shoots when you're on the side of a helicopter. It reminds me of one of those great bits from Assault Horizon, Ace Combat. But you have to make sure you don't kill any civilians, and you're tailing a car that you can't destroy either. So there's always a little something else going on, and it's very gamey as well. It's not, the dialogue's not relentlessly realistic. There's ammo everywhere, big ammo sites, and you know how in the last Splinter Cell game they put instructions and sort of bits of plot, project it on the wall. Yeah, they kind of do things like that here. But it's really good, and it goes fucking batshit mental towards the end a few times, like properly just the most chaotic action scenes I've ever sort of partaken in. When you're have you seen that Warhound thing?
Is that like a robot?
It's basically like a tank on 4 legs that's got infinite mortars and like Predator missiles. Basically, I can't remember what this calls them, but and you control the fire of that, whilst also directing fire for your team and moving around and shooting yourself. You do all of that on the pad, and it's second nature in about a second. So impressive.
You made it sound really good. I was slightly worried at first when you said they'd taken out some of the stuff that I liked about the older games, but you have made it sound very cool.
No, it is, but it's all about the action, and I can't stress it enough. I thought, okay, is that it? Occasionally I tell them to shoot over there or to focus their fire on that guy over there, but if you don't do that constantly, you're going to get fucked over. I started it on the hard difficulty setting, which is the way to play it. And I'm really looking forward to see how I'm going to play it on co-op over the weekend and see how that changes things. But it's one of those games where I just stopped a couple of times. I was just like, "Fuck, I'm enjoying this so much."
Yeah.
I like the fact that it is gamey and it's not relentlessly realistic and it's not just filled with, like, they haven't sent some writer to interview a bunch of squaddies and give them all this lingo just so they can drop it in. And I like how it's slightly daft, and I've had some really cool moments in it, really fucking cool moments in it. Multiplayer's good. Haven't played enough of it, and Guerrilla is Horde, but a very, very good version of Horde. I'm surprised, very surprised.
Interesting.